Piali, in the family that you're sponsoring? Tell us a little bit about that.
Our family arrived in the beginning of November, and it was 5 out of 6 people who came. The person who applied to come to Canada was a single man, and he also attached to his file his parents and his sister and her family. And it turned out that the rest of them were able to come to Canada, and he's been left behind in Beirut. And it's breaking their heart that they're here, they're ready to move on with their lives and get started, and they have to phone or WhatsApp back home and find out if he's okay. And they don't know if they have enough money to be able to support him, whether he'll have enough money, they just don't know. And it's something that's really, I think, is hurting them badly.
What would the question be to the Prime Minister based on that story?
What is the government doing to reunite families like this?
Like I said, everyone has a different story, and everyone has people that they want to see here. I mean, we cannot forget that for every one person who comes over, there are brothers, sisters, in many cases that aren't able to come over. And what we need to do is be able to facilitate how they can come over through a process, and that's where applying for the government program to get those family members needs to happen. But at the same time, we're hearing these stories is heartbreaking and is a recognition of the difficult and sometimes impossible choices that had to be made on the ground about who's coming over and who's not coming over as we were trying to do this.
But as you're saying, I mean, it seems as though there are limits to what the Canadian government can do. Is that what you're suggesting?
There are limits, but obviously we know that there is a greater chance of success for someone when they come over and there are friends, there are families, there's already even a small piece of a support system in place. You're creating a better opportunity to success than if we were to just bring someone over with absolutely no support network. So this individual has advantages over other people who are going to come because there's a family that loves him, that wants him to come over and is willing to support him.
What would you want the government to do, Piali? I mean, representative at the highest level, what would you want that government to do?
Well, in this case, it's a single man who we're waiting for. And one of the challenges we're facing is that we get no information from the government in terms of what's happening with the file. So we have to go through our MP's office to be able to get updates. And that's been one of the frustrating parts of this process. And we don't understand why the file doesn't get updated on the computer system, for example.
This is something that we've heard a lot about, is a lack of communication, a sense of radio silence from members of the government when it comes to where files are moving.
I spent, I was an MP for a long time before I ended up on the government side, and in my riding of Papineau, which is a riding in Montreal where a lot of new arrivals come as their first stop when they come to Canada, come to Quebec, come to Montreal. We did an awful lot of just asking for updates because people exactly talking about the radio silence. And the story that I'd always hear back from government was, well, we could give a full-time job or 8 to people whose only responsibility would be to respond and say, yes, your file's still being processed, there's nothing new to say. And to do that all day to the thousands upon thousands of people who are asking for that information. Or we could take those 8 people and actually set them to work on actually processing those files instead of communicating out. So it's a question of resources, and it's frustrating, but they do the best job they can of letting you know when something changes on the file, but these take a long time. But because of that, and because of this level of frustration that I've seen as an MP, because families live, one of the things that we've committed to is actually, properly resourcing our immigration system, looking at how we can be much more computer-based so that you can see real-time updates and we don't have to hire someone to answer you, and we can use modern technology to have it known. We have to make significant improvements in an immigration system that was underinvested in for the past 10 years under the previous government, and that's not a partisan excuse. It's more of an explanation that I hear you, and I know that frustration, and you've heard it a lot, Matt. Everyone knows it. It's really hard to get information out of the system. We're working on improving that, but at the same time, we're trying to use everything we can to process the files rather than to give out advisories on the fact that, yes, we continue to process the file.